Welcome to the Mukilteo Football Show. My name is Miles. The Philadelphia Eagles defeat the Kansas City Chiefs 40-22 in Super Bowl 59, which I don't know if you noticed was in New Orleans. Just always laugh about whenever New Orleans hosts the Super Bowl, it is so about New Orleans hosting the Super Bowl. Just ridiculous, but I'll just come out right and say it. The Super Bowl kind of sucked. No one was really looking forward to this matchup with Chiefs fatigue and matchup fatigue. We just saw the Eagles and Chiefs play a Super Bowl 2 years ago. Not really two hugely liked or beloved teams. Probably because of their sustained success. They used to be, like I brought up in the preview, Philadelphia and Kansas City fans used to be, with the rest of us, hard-working NFL franchises getting mad at Pittsburgh and New England, all the time. So, used to be. Super Bowl it was a blowout. 40-22. Didn't even really, that actually makes it sound closer than it was. This thing was 34-0 going just out of the third quarter. I think Mahomes threw the first Kansas City points at the end of the third quarter, which is actually very similar to the last dud of a Super Bowl that we had, which was the 2013 season when the Seattle Seahawks, my Seahawks, blew out the Broncos 43-8. That game was also, almost the exact same score. I think it was 36-0 going out of the third quarter. The Broncos and Chiefs both got their first points right at the end of the third quarter. But yeah, it was a bad game. It was a boring matchup that nobody wanted. But hey, the bright side I can take from it is the Philadelphia fans and the city of Philadelphia, the sporting city of Philadelphia deserved this win. They deserve Super Bowls, man. They support, the 76ers and the Phillies and even hockey. They're a smart, really devoted sports city that has not had a lot of success. And to get this one, they didn't have a Super Bowl till 2017. It's not that long ago. They were a pretty huge football team in terms of fans and revenue and stuff before they ever had a Super Bowl. 2017 is not that long ago. So Philadelphia fans deserve this. And it's cool because who they beat. They beat Pat Mahomes. They beat Andy Reid. They beat the Chiefs in their quest for the three-peat. And it pairs nicely with that other ring, that Nick Foles 2017 ring, the Philly special, because in that Super Bowl they beat Tom Brady, Bill Belichick, the Patriots dynasty. Also, although we didn't know it at the time, also preventing a three-peat because the Patriots won the Super Bowl before in 2016 and the Super Bowl after in 2018. So Philadelphia fans, that's what you want, right? You don't want to be beating Colin Kaepernick or Kerry Collins or Rex Grossman in the Super Bowl and watch your Super Bowl fade away in history. You don't want that. You don't want that. You want to win and have it be remembered. And as far as a blowout Super Bowl goes, this will always be remembered because it buffered away, it shunted away the three-peat. Something that has not happened across 59 Super Bowls, and now reset the ticker. It can't happen at least until Super Bowl 61 if the Eagles win Super Bowl 60. So we reset it. So the game was a dud. I'm not going to really go through it play by play, line by line, but my headline of the day was that this was defensive coordinator Vic Fangio's day. His legacy changes the most by this victory. His unit won this football game. The Eagles defense came out firing, rocket hot, thumping, like they were playing the Super Bowl. Whereas the Chiefs defense or Chiefs offense looked like they were, lining up for the continental breakfast. I have no idea where, Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce and their heads were just not there. which you'd think being in 5 of the last 6 Super Bowls, they would be prepared. But maybe there was no preparing. Vic Fangio's defense, Jalen Carter, Nick Bond, just all of those, just they were flying to the ball. You could tell right from the get-go something was bad. When they got that pick six, I said the game was over. I think that only made it like 17-0, but they were just playing harder, better, with a confidence that, belied something that they know that we don't know, which is that they have this thing. Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith, all Georgia Bulldogs, just hoisting up that Lombardi today. It's pretty cool. Maybe the draft isn't so hard. Maybe you just draft Georgia Bulldogs from the greatest college defense of all time. Maybe it's not that hard. Maybe do that. They had Nakobe Dean playing well until he got hurt in the divisional round. But the reason I say it's Vic Fangio's day is because of his legacy and the story this now tells of this era of the NFL. Vic Fangio, of course, was defense coordinator for the Ravens earlier in the 2010s, lost that Super Bowl, defense coordinator for the 49ers earlier in the 2010s, lost that Super Bowl to the Ravens in 2012. Then he went to the Bears to be their defensive coordinator in 2015, and he kind of slowly built that defense. They got the addition of Khalil Mack, and Vic Fangio found something that really changed the NFL. And he's gotten a lot of credit for this. He's got his coaching tree stemmed out throughout the league, and everyone by the 2020s was running some version of what Vic Fangio started running in that 2018 Chicago Bears season. But it was the antidote to the offensive boom. I mean, if you try to take yourself back to 2018, and it was Mahomes, it was the rookie Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, the Sean McVay Rams with Goff and Todd Gurley and Kupp and Robert Woods. Those just so many offenses just firing on absolute all cylinders. We had real articles, real national publications, not even football publications, talking about, is defense dead? We had, especially in the wake of that Monday Night Football game between the Chiefs and the Rams, when they scored 100 points. Some of the defense scored some of those points, but that gets forgotten. But the offense was just getting insane. The numbers were huge, and it looked like McVay and Kyle Shanahan with the Falcons and then 49ers, and Mahomes now throwing 50 touchdowns in what is essentially his rookie year. That they had figured it out, and they had found a way to put these beefy linebackers on skates. The defense could make no correct decisions, and any aggression from any defense was punished mercilessly across the league. And a lot of those guys, a lot of those Rex Ryan guys, they got marched right out of the league. And in their place came the Vic Fangio disciples. The bend don't break, disguise. You don't have to put a man thing on your chest and say, we go get the quarterback. No, everything is about fooling and reacting to the offense and making them choose. The Brandon Staley defense that came out the Rams, he was on the Vic Fangio staff. That changed the NFL. Everyone runs that frame of defense now, even 6, 7, 8 years later. And so now Vic Fangio gets this victory in such a defining way. It's his day. And I didn't mean to take so long on that, but it's just, that's a big story and a big meaning. And the Dolphins fans can't win here, because Dolphins fans who last 2 Super Bowls had to just think about that they have Tyreek Hill, who's supposedly this big piece of the Chiefs dynasty, and they watched the Chiefs win 2 Super Bowls without him. Didn't need you, Tyreek Hill. They focused on defense, and they won. Now this year, Vic Fangio is the big story, and they trashed him. Vic Fangio was the defensive coordinator for the Dolphins last year. They trashed him. They said he was done. They said he was toast. The players trashed him. The fans trashed him. the players toasted him in a really weird way, which is that it was like too hard on them. Like, it's football. Anyway, tough day for the Dolphins, tough day for the Chiefs, tough day for all sorts of fan bases. But Vic Fangio gets it. Saquon Barkley is a big story. Jalen Hurts is a big story. The game, may not have been exciting. It was, it wasn't even really Saquon. They didn't even need Saquon Barkley. The defense just dominated. They just dominated. I think the Chiefs had like 20 yards at one point. And there were some bad calls in favor of the Eagles, that I thought kind of hurt the Chiefs defense. Like, there was a Nick Bolton call for unnecessary roughness on Barkley when it was a screen pass that was thrown like 4 yards behind him. Like Bolton is supposed to know that the ball is thrown 4 yards behind and is supposed to hold off on tackling Saquon Barkley. It was a bad call. There was another bad call where McDuffie got called for a blow to the head. These were both third downs, too. A blow to the head when Hurts threw it way too high, and Goddard didn't even jump for it. And because he doesn't jump, McDuffie hits him in the head. But it's like, how was McDuffie supposed to know, that he didn't hit him in the head, or that he wasn't going to jump? But I feel bad for the Chiefs defense because those two penalties hurt them. Mahomes' turnovers hurt them. First of all, one of them, the halftime score was 24-0, and 7 of those points was a pick six to Cooper DeJean. And then 7 more of the points were an interception that Mahomes threw, getting just absolutely blown up right in the end zone. Bond catches it, I think, at the 5-yard line, at least inside the 10-yard line. That set up the A.J. Brown score. So that's 14 of the 24 points at halftime that, were really not the Chiefs' defense's fault. They had shut down Barkley. They had gotten those stops, if not for those penalties. The game should have been more like, 10-0, 13-0, even with the bad calls. But their spirits just had to be broken coming out of the third quarter, or coming out to start the third quarter, and the Chiefs offense just nothing. I think they get a first down or two, jog off the field as the punter comes on, and the spirit has just got to be done by them. Chiefs, they're gonna get like Chris Jones and the Chiefs defense is gonna get the blame for this loss, and that just annoys me greatly. But the Chiefs offense, we praised the Eagles defense, and I think that's where the podcast should start. I think that's where the story should start. I think Vic Fangio, Jalen Carter, all the players on the Nick Bond, all the players on the Eagles defense, deserve that credit. But Pat Mahomes was also flustered. They flummoxed. They didn't have any answers on the offensive line. They look like they look all year. They have not been able to move the ball all year, except for against the Bills for some reason. They can move the ball just fine against the Buffalo Bills. But the difference was those turnovers. The pick to DeJean, the pick to Bond, that was different. That was new. That doesn't usually happen. Usually they punt the ball. They're relying on their elite defense. The Chiefs defense had to get them to a Super Bowl last year. But the interceptions were the difference. They created a 24-0 halftime deficit that really they weren't able to come back from. And yeah, they put up some points in the second half, really the fourth quarter later, right at the end of the third quarter, they got a touchdown, and then Mahomes threw one to DeAndre Hopkins late in the fourth, the saddest Super Bowl touchdown of all time. I feel bad. DeAndre Hopkins, potential Hall of Famer, in the future, comes to the Chiefs, very quiet postseason, catches this Super Bowl touchdown in pure garbage time. That is not how you draw it up in your childhood backyard, catching a front pylon touchdown to make it 12-40 in the Super Bowl. And then Mahomes throws a little lofted 40-yard bomb to Xavier Worthy. Perfect drop it in the bucket catch. I foresee more of that. I see more of Mahomes' offensive production and less of Kansas City's success going forward. I think the dynasty is probably over, and that's maybe bold to say, but you just can't keep it going forever. And the Patriots didn't either. We talked about the Patriots as 20-year dynasty, but they had a 10-year lull. And that will, I think we're going to live through something like that now. This part of the Chiefs is done. I think we're going to pivot to, we need to get Mahomes more weapons. We need to get the offense better, and they're going to sacrifice all the investment they have done in this defense. 5 Super Bowls in 6 seasons, and they're going to go through some pains trying to come out to be Kansas City version 3.0. But there's still a dynasty. I already see people saying that I thought they were a dynasty. Like, they still won 3 Super Bowls and went to 2 more across 6 seasons. That is a dynasty. This is one of my biggest pet peeves. Like, it's objectively better that they beat the Texans and beat the Bills to get to the Super Bowl than it would have been for them to lose to the Texans or lose to the Bills and not get to the Super Bowl. Like, it's amazing. Like, there's already people all over the place saying, I thought that, Mahomes exposed as a fraud. Like, it was a Patriots fan saying that too, or a Patriots article saying that as well. Like, I feel like you should know. The Brady argument, 5, 10, 15 years ago, before the second round of Brady's Super Bowls, was Brady is a fraud because he lost Super Bowls. It was Joe Montana never lost any Super Bowls, right? And you just like, okay, Montana went one and done, losing to the Vikings and Giants, 3 years in a row. They went one and done. But because he didn't get to the Super Bowl, he's better? Like, they lost before the Super Bowl. That counts. That counts as the Michael Jordan versus LeBron James argument. Like, Michael Jordan never lost in NBA Finals. He lost before the NBA Finals. He got thrashed by the Pistons and Celtics for this whole first 8 years of his career. He did lose the finals. He lost the finals before they even started because he didn't get to them. It just drives me nuts. But anyway, you should still consider this a dynasty. It's still better that Mahomes and them got to this Super Bowl. That enhances the dynasty, or it should, in my opinion. But Chiefs, 3-2 now. They don't get the three-peat. That's the biggest story. That was the biggest potential story of this game, and it didn't happen. So, not a lot else. I just don't think I'm even going to go through the game at all. It was just boring. I mean, the Eagles didn't even need Saquon Barkley, which is kind of a bummer, to be honest. Saquon Barkley, not for him. He's certainly happy. He had one of the best all-time seasons. It statistically is the most yards a running back has had in a season if you combine regular and postseason, which I usually don't like that stat because it's kind of like, well, I mean, are you saying like 2012 Adrian Peterson is like a worse player because he had Christian Ponder as a quarterback and couldn't win a playoff game to keep the coins going and get the opportunity to get those other yards? Like, it's an unfair and kind of just unbalanced stat. But I still think it's worth marveling at that one of these elite running back seasons won the Super Bowl. I'm happiest today for Saquon Barkley that this happened because it's just one of the really good elite running back seasons puts on a ring. That hasn't happened in a long time. If you look at all the Super Bowl winners of the whole 21st century, you really don't see good running backs hoisting up Lombardi trophies. 2004 Corey Dillon and 2013 Marshawn Lynch are by far the two best. And they're second tier. They're no Tomlinson, never even got to a Super Bowl. They're no Peterson, never even got to a Super Bowl. No Derrick Henry, never even got to a Super Bowl. We used to have this all the time, right? We used to get Marshall Faulk and Emmitt Smith and Terrell Davis, the 90s were the golden age of running backs going to the Super Bowl. So that was fun in itself. And even though he didn't need to do a lot all day today, you can kind of give him the same credit that we give all sorts of elite wide receivers, which is the Chiefs sold out to stop Barkley, said beat us another way, and the Eagles did. So Barkley still influenced this game and impacted this game, and I'm just proud of him and excited for him to get a ring. That's really cool. And then Jalen Hurts is the other big story. Just think of the arc that he has been on since we all watched him in a college football championship get benched for Tua Tagovailoa, Alabama versus Georgia. And then he got blown out the next year in the college playoffs as well. And he's just had kind of an up and down career, just more up than down though. And he's hoisting a Lombardi trophy right now. It's happening right now. I'm watching it. So, pretty cool. Two cool guys to get Super Bowls. And that is a lot of fun. So, got to find some fun, right? It's hard to find it in this Super Bowl. I'm in Disneyland right now, and I'm trying to find fun in this Super Bowl. We took an off day. It was always planned to be an off day. But, I guess I'll find some fun somewhere. There's got to be something to do around here, right? So, pretty good time. 1959. Super Bowl 59 concludes. We'll pick up with the 2025 NFL offseason with free agency. Good 2024 season. Next year, probably going to be some changes to Mukilteo Football Show. Probably more of a YouTube presence than what we have going on now, but we'll figure all that out as we go. My name is Miles. Good night.